and welcome to episode 65 of the Little Drops of Wonderful podcast. This is my channel to talk about all things crochet, knitting and craft related, all of the good things. My name is Ali and you can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as Starry Eyes Ali. I'm saying it in the wrong order. I live in Kent in the UK, which is in the very southeast of England, where I live with my husband and our two daughters. And you can find, there's a Ravelry group for the podcast. It's called the Little Drops of Wonderful Ravelry group. And it's quite good at the moment. It's quite active because we've got the Strictly Sockalong going on, which I will talk about later on. If you want to find that. In the description box underneath this video, I put timestamps for each section in case you need to come back and find anything. And also all the information for the stuff that I talk about, like the patterns and the names and things like that. So if you just go down to there's a little button that you click, the little arrow, down arrow, I think it's here, and that'll open up the description box underneath. And while you're down there, feel free to click the like button. I mean, as you're there, you might as well. So that's where you'll find everything I talk about. And I am going to talk about today finished objects. I have 4 finished objects from the last 2 weeks, which is amazing. I'm very, very pleased with myself. Some works in progress, an update on the Strictly Sockalong, because it is now Strictly season. And if you don't know what that means, keep watching because you'll find out a bit later on. I've got 1 incoming thing and 1 project from Yore, so an old project that I am going to share with you. And that's it. But before I talk about any of that, I just need to clear up one thing, and that is that the grocery girls are from Canada. So, and if you're wondering why I'm saying that, it is because last time I had a beautiful bag, which I haven't brought with me, and it was a Mrs. Brown's bag, and I believe that is 1/2 of the Grocery Girls makes them. It was a lovely, beautiful, generous gift from a viewer of this podcast. And I said how amazing it was, and I could never have afforded to order something from the States. Now, the reason I said that was because I don't watch the Grocery Girls, so I don't know where they're from. So I made an assumption that they were in the States, but no, they are in Canada. But I promise you, people in America and people in Canada, that not only do I love you equally, but I do know the difference between your countries. So I do apologise for making that mistake, but I honestly, it was just the my lack of knowledge about the Grocery Girls more than anything else. So if anyone's wondering, the Grocery Girls are from Canada, and I'm going to try and watch that podcast over the next couple of weeks. I've been catching up on some old favourites, but I do really want to watch and see what all the, because people talk about the Grocery Girls a lot, so there must be something that I need to watch. I don't want to miss out. I'm really hot. It doesn't help probably that I'm drinking a really hot cup of tea, but I'm wearing shorts. It is going to be, so what's today? I haven't got my watch on because it ran out of battery. It's the 14th, it's the 14th of September, it's a Monday. We are halfway through September. It's going to be 28 degrees today here in the UK. Not happy about it, not happy. It's going to be even warmer tomorrow. So, and then I think it's supposed to cool down. And now I've got hair in my eye. Hang on, that's better. Yeah, I think it's supposed to cool down later in the week. But anyway, you don't need to hear about the weather. Let's get stuck straight into finished objects. So my first finished object, excuse me while I take a swig of tea. I'm gonna try and drink that while it's still hot or warm. So my first finished object is down here, and the eagle-eyed amongst you spotted that this was missing. I filmed a Woolality TV episode, which is a little vloggy video I put out every now and then, just about fitting my crafty stuff into my everyday life. And I went through all of my current whips and projects in waiting. That is a term coined by the girls, by the ladies at Wool is the Answer. Projects in waiting. And I pulled them all out, and I think it turned out I had 22 of them. And 2 people said, hang on a minute, didn't you have a crochet granny bag that you were working on? You didn't show that. That's because it's not a work in progress anymore. I have finished it. I'm so delighted because it was one of these projects where let me show it to you and then I'll talk about it. So here is the crochet granny square bag. I couldn't be more thrilled with it. It is a fat bottom bag is what it's called. It's a pattern by, one moment, it's been living in my very dodgy scrappy bag. Have I still got the pattern in here, or I think I've already taken the pattern out, but it's a pattern by Piro Yarns, and it's got a really, really rubbish name. It's something like Striped Bag number 400, but I'll put the actual name on the screen and I will link it underneath as well. And it's a free pattern and it's charted, so it's because it's a Japanese pattern and it's charted. And the instructions for the assembly of it, the written instructions, are a little bit confusing. So I had to look through a lot of other people's projects and do a lot of umming and ahhing and then modify it slightly to make it work. Oh, I just had a thought there that I hadn't done something, but I have. And eventually I managed to do it. So basically you make a big square. Oh, here's the pattern. I put everything inside. How organised of me. It is 29211044 striped bag. There it is. It's Piro yarns. This is a terrible printout, but that's that version there. And the chart. Now, I don't normally crochet from charts, but I did manage to do it quite easily. That's the chart. It was just when it came to doing the sides and the mouth of the bag that I had to really stop and think. And that's what delayed me finishing it. Also, it's lined, so I got this beautiful poplin from eBay, and I really like this colour. I'd actually quite like to make myself a vest in this colour. She says like she can make her own clothes. Never have done, but I would like to. It's a dream. And then I cut it. I worked out all the measurements and the size and everything. I used the instructions of the pattern, but also my own sort of common sense based on the size of the square I had made, which was a bit bigger than the one in the pattern. And I did the sides and then I sewed on the lining before I did the rest of the bunching up, because otherwise I think that would have just been too difficult to get that sewn in, because it really is bunched together. You really reduce that top bit when you come to crochet the top part. But the lining and the handles and the way it's constructed makes it a really lovely sturdy bag, and actually it's enormous. I don't know how well I'm showing that because I can't see. And I think it would actually be good for swimming, or you know, just throw my towel and stuff in when I go for a swim. Really, really pleased with it. The handles were a gift from, they're sparkly. I don't know if you can see if they're sparkly. Can you see they're sparkly? I don't think that's coming into focus. Oh, there we go. See, they're sparkly. They were a gift from my friend Lou. And I first met Lou at a yarn festival a couple of years ago, and she had this bag and I admired it, and afterwards she sent me the handles and she told me what the pattern was so I could go and make my own. So thank you, Lou. I have now eventually got round to making the granny stripe bag, and I can't wait to start using it now that I've shown it to you all. The yarn that I used, which I always forget to mention, was a gift from my best friend, one of my best friends, who I went to school with, and for my 40th birthday she gave me a giant box of yarn. She just went onto the Paintbox, or somewhere that sold Paintbox, and just chose all different types. So she got me Aran, DK and acrylic, and some cotton fingering weight as well, and I've used it for all different things. This is the label, so it's Paintbox yarns, and it's you can't see there, but it's simply DK. And the really good thing about the labels is it's got these little punched holes on the front. So what I was able to do was tie a little bit of the yarn around each of the labels through the holes so that I know what the colour is, which is really, really handy, because I really love some of these colours, especially this one. I love this bright green. So that is what I used to construct the bag. And after I'd done it, I actually had quite a lot left over, which leads me to my next finished object. So staying with the same yarn, oh, and I should say as well that I made that whole thing, so obviously the DK yarn, and I used a 4mm hook. I think the pattern actually calls for you to hold the yarn double throughout, but no, it works fantastically as it is. But I had loads of the yarn left, so each of the balls of this yarn is 100 grams, is that right? Yeah, 100 grams. You get 276 metres in 100 grams. It's 100% acrylic. And I had so much left. I was like, well, what am I going to do with all of this yarn? I've still got loads of it left as well. So I'll show you. That's how much I've got left of that green. That's how much I've got left of that green. And then the remaining 3 colours. I've got this amount left. So I've still got at least probably 2 hats worth of yarn left there. But I've made something else. So I was going through some of my old crochet and crafting magazines. I've got quite the stash, and I've got rid of a load. I actually took a load to the charity shop. I went through all of them and just thought, am I really going to make anything from this one? And I kept any of the ones where I would definitely make something and got rid of anything where I just wasn't going to. And in doing that, I found a cow pattern. It's actually written for a fingering weight yarn. It's by Sarah Shrimpton, who I think, is she Anna Boo's house? I think Sarah Shrimpton is Anna Boo's house. This is the cow. It's in Simply Crochet issue 69, that one. And it's this cow. It's designed for a set of minis. So each little section has slightly different stitch texture to it, and you just join in the minis as you go. And I used 2 of the stitch patterns rather than, I think there's 4. Is there 4 or 5 different sections? I only used 2 of them. And I just made a stripy cow. And I don't know if I like it. And I don't know if it's big enough. And I don't know. So I thought I'd just see what you think. So here it is. I'll put it on. I haven't woven in any of the ends because I'm not sure if I'm going to be unravelling it or keeping it or starting again or adding to it. But what do you think? It's quite nice. I just did, what was it? I think I did 5 rounds of each colour. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 5 times 5, so 25 rounds, and it's DK weight obviously, so it's a lot bulkier than if I'd just done it in the 4-ply. I used the same 4mm hook, just stuck with that, and there you go. What do you reckon? What do you think? I think that, I mean, it's very cosy. It's going to be very warm. It's acrylic, it's soft, so there's no issue with, you know, prickling or anything like that. You don't get that with acrylic. And I actually do really like the colours. And I like this little pop of green here. But do I need to make it longer, do you think? Or keep it like that? I could just make another one as a gift, couldn't I? What do you reckon? Because I didn't want to just put that yarn back into the cupboard and let it ferment. Any little scraps will go into my ugly blanket, which is like a big granny square that I make with scraps of yarn that just can't go into any other project. There's just not enough of it. So I could probably make another cow and still have some left over from my ugly blanket. But what do you think? Let me know. Looking at it, I do quite like it. The 2 sections of pattern I use were, I've done 3 colours in this shell pattern, and then I've done another 2 colours in this. It's kind of like a front post, back post, double crochet ribby lacy pattern. I really like that actually. I like that, how that looks. So yeah, so that's my other finished object. That was so quick. I think I did that all in the same day because obviously it's DK weight. It's quite a loose, you know, an open stitch pattern. I made that really quickly. In fact, I'd forgotten, it happened so quickly, I forgot it existed. So I thought my camera had gone wrong then, but it hadn't. Yeah, I forgot it existed until I started gathering everything up to film this morning, and I was like, oh yeah, I made an entire cow. Yeah, so that is my other finished object. Did I say I had 4? Oh yes, I have, yes. Look here, I made these over the past, since Thursday. When I was doing my Woolality TV, so first of all, Woolality TV, which I will have linked on the screen and underneath, had adverts running throughout it, and someone got in touch with me to let me know, so thank you so much to the person who pointed that out. I never want mid-roll ads in my videos, and the reason that had happened is recently YouTube changed how they set their own defaults for uploads. So previously you would have had to opt in for mid-roll ads if you've got monetization on your channel. But now they set it as a default, and we had to go in by a certain point in July and say, no, I definitely do not want this as a default, which I did. So all of my videos are set always when I upload them to not have adverts throughout as a default. However, I uploaded Willality TV from my iPad, and apparently, even though I'm logged in as myself and my defaults are set for my channel, if I log in from a different device, those defaults just go out the window. So I uploaded it, thought everything was fine, and then the first I knew of it was, I think, after about 2 days when the comment came in, and I was panicking, running to my PC to go in and edit it from there. It's so annoying. It is so annoying. Anyway, I've sent some feedback to YouTube because I do think that is a bit sneaky to do that on different devices, and I'll just have to be extra careful when uploading things from my iPad or my phone. Anyway, that was a bit of an aside. Why was I talking about Willality TV? Oh yes, so in that I went through all of my whips and projects in waiting, and I had in this beautiful bag, this is my Halloween bag, and I've had this sitting in my craft cupboard right at the front ever since this time last year. This bag is by Craftmonger Law. It was part of a Halloween set that she did with green lumpkin yarns. Look at that beautiful pumpkin. I made socks with the yarn, which I've talked about quite a few times. And in it I had put a pattern by Lily at Nordic Stitches. Terrible printout of it. But I'll put a picture on the screen actually. I'll go and steal, Lily, I'm going to steal one of your photos and put it on the screen, I hope you don't mind, to show you what they actually look like. And they are knitted pumpkins, and she gives instructions for how to do a stockinette pumpkin and a garter stitch pumpkin and a stockinette and reverse stockinette combined pumpkin as well. And she gives you the instructions to do the curly bits on the top, you know, the tendrils, in either knitted or crocheted. So there's a lot of options there. And I don't generally make 3D things out of knitting, so I did feel a bit nervous, but no, it was really easy, very easy indeed. So the yarn, I used 4mm needles, and the yarn for this one, on the back, I did a hip workout on Saturday, more Natasha Ocean, I'll link to her underneath, is the hip workouts I've been following recently. And yeah, she's pure evil. She's actually, no, she's not. She's absolutely lovely, but she knows what she's doing when it comes to hitting your muscles. Oh, I'm really enjoying that cup of tea. So it's not that my back's hurting, there's muscles in your lower back that kind of run up diagonally from your lower back, and they're really twingy. I've got it, I've reached it. So this is my first pumpkin. Can you see how fuzzy it is? Oh, it's just so cool. Actually, don't look too closely at that bit. You'll never see that bit when it's on display. But yeah, and the bottom's just as messy. So this is pumpkin number 1. I made this with Let Lopi, this yarn here. Can't remember where I got it. Can't remember if I got it at a yarn festival. I know, I think I might have ordered it actually. I might have ordered it online. Or did I buy it at a yarn festival? I can't remember. And the colour I used is this medium grey one. The shade is 0056, I think. If you can hear gurgling, by the way, that's my tummy. I have currently got a blockage in my, this is going to be a really random aside, but I have a J pouch, I don't have a bow. That's Dan home from his run, I just heard creaking. 1 second. Sorry, that was Dan. He'd been out for a run and he's just come back and he's heading up to the shower. My husband's at home at the moment because he is looking for a job because he was made redundant during the lockdown months. Not because of, but during. What was I saying? Oh yeah, Bowels, of course. Talking about pumpkins, talking about Bowels. I have a J pouch, which is like an internal arrangement that keeps me very healthy. But I have scar tissue, because I had to have I had a bag, an ileostomy, for a couple of months during my operations back in 2012. And I have scar tissue, and just very occasionally, not very often these days, I get a little blockage where the scar tissue is, and it's nothing serious. That's why it's important to drink my tea while it's hot, because that tends to shift it. So if you can hear gurgling, it's because my stomach's just complaining a little bit. Anyway, too much information? Oh well. I'm going to do a little video about my story, about what led to my getting that operation and my life with ulcerative colitis beforehand and so on. I'm going to do that as part of Vlogtober. But I'm so far off on a tangent that I'm going to shut up and start talking about pumpkins. So yes, so the yarn is Let Lopey. I'm using the medium grey shade 0056. They come in balls of 50 grams, and I used the entire ball to make this size, and then I had to break into this little bit of lighter grey to just finish off the very last rounds, I think the last 4 rounds, and then I used the lighter grey to do the shaping. You have to pull the yarn through. Now it's a very loosely spun yarn, so it breaks very easily when you pull it quite tight. So that whole thing of shaping the pumpkin was quite a painful process. I kept stabbing myself with the tapestry needle, but so satisfying, so much fun making that pumpkin shape. And then I elected to do the crochet version of the tendrils because I just felt a lot more comfortable doing crochet ones, and they're so curly. It's so clever, it's so simple, but so effective how you get that sort of curly tendril. So that's pumpkin number 1. And then I was on a bit of a pumpkin addiction by that point, and I was like, I need to make more pumpkins, but I didn't really want to. So I started this on Thursday night. I worked on it Thursday night, Friday night, and a little bit throughout the day Saturday, and then it was done. So I wanted to make one that I could make in sort of one sitting. And I had this amazing yarn, which I made a gorgeous chunky hat from. It is Sqauare yarn. This beautiful orange colour. So it's Sqauare yarn. That is Zoe and Jenny in Wales. It's a non-superwash Welsh yarn. Hang on. Welsh mule. 66% Welsh mule and 33% blue face Leicester. And the colourway is Flam. There's all the information. So I had this left over for making my hat, and of course it is the absolute perfect pumpkin colour. And I made a little one, and it's so cute. I'm going to make more in this colour. I did the tendrils in a little French meadow variegated mini, which I really like. It kind of gives it a bit more, I don't know, va-va-voom. So I'm definitely going to make more of this size, maybe a smaller one and a slightly bigger one to use this yarn. And the tendrils I did on that was just with a green, a lovely dark green that was a gift from Carla. Hi Carla. Which I've actually had lined up to make Dan a hat or a cow with. But I thought it was the perfect green to do the tendrils, and now it's balled up. I might have to crack on and make the thing for Dan as well. Right, I'm now surrounded in yarn and pumpkins and bits and bobs, so I'm just going to have a bit of a tidy up, and then I'll be right back with you. Oh, so many tangents. Blimey, I've lost count of how long I've been yabbering on for. Right, let's move on to works in progress. Now, as you know, especially if you watch that last reality TV episode, I have many works in progress, so I'm not going to cover all of them. I'm just going to talk about 3 of them for now. And the first thing I want to talk about is progress on my corner to corner moss stitch blanket. So this is a project that's living in my bag by Hannah from Sheep's Alley. I absolutely love this bag. And I have been making for quite a long time now a corner to corner moss stitch blanket using fingering weight yarn, which is probably why it's taken me so long. Now, I am a big lover of like genuinely scrappy projects where I can just choose what colour I want to put in next based on how I'm feeling, on my whim, on what I feel like, on what my mood is, and not having any worry or concern about the finished outcome, other than I know it'll be an eclectic mix of lovely yarns, which I love. And this is very much what this project is about. The instructions I've been using, so I'll show it to you as I'm telling you. The instructions I've been using are by Polly Plum, who is Every Trick on the Hook. So if you Google Every Trick on the Hook, corner to corner, moss stitch, you will find her tutorial on her blog for how to do a corner to corner moss stitch square. But included in that are instructions on how to make a rectangle, which is what I'm doing. So when I last spoke to you 2 weeks ago, I said I was going to try and dedicate most of the following 2 weeks on working on this. Now, clearly I've been busy, but I have also managed to pick this up a lot. So where my little stitch marker is there, my little Boo's Beautiful Things stitch marker, and I talked about this last time. The reason that's got 3.5 on it is because it reminds me what hook size I'm using. So I can take my hook away when I'm not working on this and not forget. I've got other ones like this. I can't remember where I put them. They'll be somewhere safe. I need to find them. So you can see how far I've got over the past 2 weeks. Now, given that this is quite long at the moment, that edge that I'm working on, and it's fingering weight, and it's only single crochet in US terms, which is double crochet UK terms, I think that's pretty good going for a 2 week period in which I've also finished 1, 2, 3 other things. Yeah, pretty impressed with myself. And I've really enjoyed it. And like I say, I just love being able to pick whatever colour I feel like working on and see how it works up. And this is such a beautiful stitch for variegated yarns. This last one that I put in, so do you see that there's a kind of darkish reddy orange one? Everything from that one upwards are minis that I was sent by my lovely friend Sarah One Daisy, when we did a swap at Christmas. And that very last one is called King Penguin, and it is so beautiful. I can't remember, I did keep the thing. I can't remember who it's by. Skein Queen, it's by Skein Queen. King Penguin. So I'm going to have to go and have a look at that because it looks absolutely beautiful. And they're all in this little bag that she sent me as part of our swap. And I've got a little lobster pin on there, which is also a gift from Lou, my friend Lou that I mentioned earlier. So my minis from Sarah are in here, and I'm just working those in. But I've also got loads of other minis in here to work into it. And I've got leftovers from other projects that go into it. I'm just loving it. And like I say, I've started now on the decreases for the rectangle. So at the moment, I'm still doing increases on one side, so it comes to a point. And then at the other side, for about the last 8 or so rows, I have started the process of making this edge straight. So I think it's going to be a really nice size rectangle, kind of sofa blanket. And then when it's all completely finished, I'm going to border it probably just once or twice around the edge just to finish it off and straighten it up a bit. But it's such a lovely fabric that it creates. It's so drapey and so tactile. It's so cozy and just full of memories. And I love it. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea having something this much of a mishmash, but I absolutely love it. It brings me, this is a pure pleasure project. Now, I don't often make things just for the joy of making them. I think I'm very much a product knitter. Or crocheter, but this is just pure pleasure. Right, my next work in progress I talked about briefly last time. I'm working on I wanted to do a little sort of beginner, not beginner, but a tutorial for a very simple crochet project that I could maybe do some videos about. Crochet is has been a big part of my life, and I mentioned earlier about having operations, quite a few years ago now. But in the time leading up to that, when I was very ill and when I spent a lot of time in hospital, crochet was a saving factor in all of that. And it's very important to me in my life, and it led to knitting, and it led to this podcast, and it led to the friends that I've made because of this podcast, and the confidence that I've gained because of this podcast, and everything that this whole yarny world has given me and led me to in so many different ways and so many different areas, things that I could never possibly have imagined. And I just think I want to try and do something to help people learn, and I don't know if I'll be any good at that, but I want to at least try. I mean, they're only videos and they're not going to harm anyone. If people don't want to watch them, they don't need to watch them. Anyway, all that to explain that I've been working on a very simple little crochet mitten project that I could just use as a tutorial. So I've come up with my first prototype, which are these. I shall put them on. And I think I'm going to make a couple of modifications to them, but I don't want to go too mad on modifications because they are supposed to be extremely simple. Simple to wear, simple to make. So these are them. They are little granny square mitts. Now you can't really see that they are granny square mitts because of the yarn that I've used. This is a lovely sock yarn and actually a lovely mitten yarn because Lilia saw these and snaffled them. These are now going to be hers. She can't have them just yet until I film the tutorials. But it's basically 2 granny squares sewn together and then rib added at the wrist end and rib added at the top end using front post, back post, double crochets and half double crochets. It's incredibly simple. So the tutorial that I want to put together is how to do the granny square, how to seam them together, it's not a scary process, and then how to join in your yarn to add a very simple rib. I'm a big believer that nothing's that complicated really. As long as you sit down, you've got a bit of brain space to try it. Yeah, so that is my sort of finished prototype, and then my second prototype to sort of show how it might work in different combinations of yarn, and also I wanted to just maybe modify a little bit to see if I can come up with a slightly better way of doing it. So I've made these beautiful squares. Oh, this yarn is so beautiful. It is so soft, so drapey, and the colours are gorgeous. So I've got 2 squares like that. They're going to form the top of the mitten, and then the palms I've got a slightly different configuration of colours like that. And the yarn is, I did speak about this last time, and I did now, quite a few of you messaged me because I said, oh, I couldn't find them. And a few of you messaged me to let me know where they were on Instagram. And they themselves actually tagged me in one of their stories, which was really, really lovely. So it's these people. I'm not going to try and say it. They're Norwegian. And the yarn is Fortunus Merino, and I can't read the writing there for the colourway, but if you're in Norway or if you're able to buy things from this particular shop, I would highly recommend it. It's gorgeous yarn. It was actually a gift from my friend Ellie, and I've still got this left, which is good because I've still got to finish the mitts. So I'll keep you updated on that. It's all a bit strange. Like I say, I'm not a designer. I've made a lot of stuff. I do know my crochet, but it's a very different process trying to work out something from your head and following a pattern. Very different. Hats off to all the people who are actually designers out there. It is difficult. Okay, the third work in progress that I'm going to talk about today, third and last, is my wild wheat shawl. Now, I've had a change of heart about this. This is one of my dodgy bags. I made this during one of my tutorials. I've got a tutorial for how to make a drawstring dodgy bag. I will link it below. And in here I've been making the wild wheat shawl, which again is a charted pattern. It's by Joanna Lindahl, who's Mijo Crochet. There we are. Can't really see it terribly well. It's one of these shawls where you can just keep going. You can make it as big or as small as you want. And that's what I wanted. I had a beautiful hook that my daughter had bought me. I think it was for Mother's Day or my birthday. That was for my youngest daughter, Phoebe. So cute. It's from a place in Cornwall. Really chunky hook. It's 3.5mm hook, and I wanted to make something straight away using that beautiful hook. So I found that pattern, and I had some minis, beautiful minis from my lovely friend Becky at Back to Blighty, and I started making it, and I don't like it. I love the colours, I love the minis, and I was going to just keep adding more and more minis because I wanted it to be really big, because the projects I've seen on Ravelry, there's people that have made them really, really huge, so they're kind of lovely kind of summer shawls, you know. But I don't like it. I think this yarn would work better in a different project, maybe socks or something else that would show it off a bit better. And I don't like having to change all the time, and I don't like how it's looking like this. But I do like the pattern. So I think what I'm going to do, and I don't do this lightly, and I don't do it very often, is frog it. I'm going to frog it all, use the yarn for something better suited for it, that will show it off a bit better, and I do think socks would be beautiful. Or maybe like a cow. Yeah, I could actually do like a lovely cow. Anyway, that's a discussion for another day. And I think I'm going to find 1 or 2 full skeins of yarn that I can use together to make a really big one. Yeah, so watch this space. The thing is, this yarn is so beautiful. Becky's yarn just feels so lovely. It's her Crocus mini set. This is her card. I don't have the, do I have the, I don't have the actual thing that tells me the yarn makeup, but yeah, it's so beautiful and it smells so divine. But I think I'm going to frog it and start again, but I'm going to miss that yarn because it feels so nice. Becky, what do you put on your yarn that makes it smell so nice? Right, time for the Strictly Sockalong update. I thought I would start off with an explanation of exactly what the Strictly Sockalong is, and I'm going to do the same on Instagram because I realised that I just say the Strictly Sockalong and assume everyone knows what I'm talking about, and of course people might not know what I'm talking about. So as an explanation, this is the 4th year. 5 years ago decided to knit myself some socks, which I would only knit whilst watching Strictly Come Dancing, which is the UK version of Dancing with the Stars. Here is my 10 paddle that says Strictly Come Dancing. And I love Strictly Come Dancing because it's something we can all watch as a family. It's about one of the only things all 4 of us can watch together and absolutely really get into and enjoy. And I decided to knit a simple pair of socks that I only knit watching that, and I would call them my Strictly socks. That's what I did. And then the following year I said to people, does anyone fancy joining in? And the rest is history. And over the course of the last few years, the Strictly Sockalong has become synonymous with cheating. Because I'm rubbish at setting and keeping rules, it's kind of become a thing that cheating wins prizes. It really does. Because I will draw winners based on how cunning they are at certain points. And we usually have quite a lot of really good prizes as well. People are usually very generous with offering to donate prizes, and I've got a few more to announce now. And it lasts a long time. It lasts from September until January, so you've got plenty of time to do it. If you're a beginner, you've got time to learn or to pick up some tips or at least attempt it. If you're a seasoned sock knitter, you've got time to make loads. Knitting is welcome, crochet is welcome, and the idea is we knit or crochet or make them. If they're socks, they're welcome, so however you're making them, but you have to do it whilst watching Strictly Come Dancing or your country's version of that, Dancing with the Stars, or spin-off programs from that, or actually not doing any of that because you should be cheating as well. So if you can prove to me why it's related in some way, then they're in. The only rule is they do have to be finished and in the FO thread by, I think it's like the 7th of January, but you've got quite a long time to do that. And yeah, all patterns are welcome, all yarn is welcome, all crafts are welcome. Double dip to your heart's content, triple, quadruple, 100 dip, doesn't really matter. There are plenty of other Sockalongs going on at the same time, so please feel free to enter them in multiple ones. Yeah, well, I'm saying that about my Sockalong. I don't know what the rules are on the other ones. And this is the second time we've done an official pattern and yarn. So this time, the sort of associated pattern is by Jooles at So Sweet Violet. She has done the Lola socks, they're absolutely beautiful. I'm going to be making those as my Strictly socks this year, and she is donating £3 or £4 from the sale. Hang on, I've got it written down. She is donating £3 from the sale of every pattern to Gaynor of Tales from Cuckoo Land's fundraising campaign for Bill's special bus, which is to buy a minibus for a very special school for some children with very specific special needs. And it's a lovely cause, and I'm really, really happy to be just a little bit involved with that. And so that's the pattern. And then Kelly of Lay Family Yarn, who has been a supporter of the Strictly Sockalong from the very beginning. I think she was one of the very first people to dye up associated yarns. She has done a sock set called the Lola sock set. Again, it's absolutely stunning. It is the yarn that you've seen pictured on the Lola socks. I think she's sold out at the moment, but she's taking pre-orders. She's got a lot going on at the moment, Kelly, but she's donating £4 from the sale of every sock set to that same charity. So that's absolutely brilliant. If you're a dyer doing Strictly themed stuff, make sure you let me know. Maybe you might want to give some as a prize. Just putting it out there. And I do have some new prizes. I have got some yarn on its way from the ladies at Wool is the Answer. They've got a lovely podcast, and if you Google Wool is the Answer, they've got a lovely website as well with patterns, and they sell yarn, and they dye and sell yarn. A friend of mine, Nikki, who I talked to on Instagram, has offered a prize of a pattern for some, of anyone's choice, up to the value of £10, which is so lovely. Thank you, Nikki. And what was the other new one? Oh, I'm going to make a dodgy bag, but I haven't done that yet, so I'll show that when I get round to it. And I've had a lovely bag sent to me by Suzanne of Inside Number 22, who has, I think, donated. She donated so many bags as prizes over the past couple of years, and I'm so grateful to her because she's a very talented sewer. So she's made this gorgeous little needle cozy, which you use for housing your DPNs, but you can also use it for when you knit with magic loop as well. And as it has it, I don't have any knitting projects around me, do I? I don't have any knitting projects at all today. No, it's all crochet, isn't it? Oh, that's pretty good. It's a crochet podcast today. But anyway, you can put them in here, and then you clip. You pop the little things, and it stops the yarn falling off the ends. I do knit my socks with DPNs, so I love these. I've got lots of those. And the bag that matches, so she's got the same fabric on the bottom. You can see it's all quilted. It's so beautiful and so detailed. It's got this beautiful fabric, and then the casing and the lining is Alice in Wonderland. How cute is that? So that is the lovely prize from Suzanne at Inside Number 22. So thank you so much for that, Suzanne. I really appreciate it. I'm going to wrap that up nicely, ready for whatever prize category it goes in. Now, the prize categories are all on the Ravelry thread, which I will link below. There's, I think there's 4 or 5 prize categories, and they get drawn at different times throughout the Sockalong. So if you go and have a look at that, it's all explained there. And I am looking at another alternative to Ravelry, because I know a lot of people can't use Ravelry at the moment. So I would like to offer an alternative for people for who that is an issue. I've narrowed it down to either Facebook, or a couple of people suggested Mighty Networks. So I need to do a bit of investigation, because what I don't want to do is overwhelm myself and make it more complicated, because it is quite a lengthy Sockalong, and I just want to keep it fun for me as well. So I need to do a bit more investigation to see which of those is going to work in an easier way for me. And I think that's it. I think that's it for the Strictly Sockalong. But let me know if you're taking part. Don't forget to use the hashtag on Instagram. It's Strictly Sockalong 2020, and tag me if you're talking about it. Let me know how you're cheating. If you're cheating, go along to the chatter thread and have a good old chatter there. It's always a really good chatter thread, the Ravelry, on the Ravelry group. People have a lot of fun discussing how they're going to be cheating and so on. And I promise you, I will get onto it with creating another place where people can chat as well. And yeah, let me know if you're joining in. What are you making? What yarn are you using? Are you crocheting your socks? Are you knitting your socks? What pattern are you going to use? Maybe you might just go for vanilla. A lot of people prefer vanilla because it's easier whilst you're watching telly. And actually the sock that Jooles has designed, it looks very complicated because it's got a lace panel, but it's actually only a 4-row repeat. So she actually specifically thought about that when she was designing it, that people would be watching television, and designed it so that it would be simple enough to do, which is just, yeah, the mark of a very good designer, that she took the time to actually think about how the person would be knitting it and when, and then incorporated that into, you know, how that pattern would work. So thank you so much, Jooles. And they have raised so far between Kelly and Jooles, I can't remember, but quite a lot of money so far. I didn't write it down. Okay, moving on. Oh, I just realised there's one bit I didn't say at the top But I am going to talk about some books and stuff before the end. But I just want to talk about an incoming thing. This is a really, really special incoming thing. I ordered this a little while ago. It is a book, and it is by a lovely friend of mine on Instagram called Nancy. She is Avocado Fairy. If you like pugs, toadstools, fairy tale kind of vibe, go and check out Avocado Fairy. She is absolutely hilarious as well. The things she writes in the description box underneath her photos, they just make me laugh all the time. She's such a funny person. But she's living with a brain tumour. She's been living with a brain tumour for some time. And obviously the lockdown, she was supposed to be having chemotherapy, and that caused huge amounts of problems with her treatment during the lockdown. And during that time, her and her daughter wrote and illustrated and produced a book to raise money for the brain tumour charity. Yeah, the brain tumour charity is to raise money for. So, of course, as soon as it went on pre-order, I ordered it. It is called The Toadstool That Wanted to Stay. It's, well, I suppose it's a children's book, but I'd say it's a book for anyone. And it is, I'll read you the little bit of blurb at the beginning. It says, for the readers of this book, Nancy lives in a little cottage by the woods with her family and a bossy pug called Apple. She loves all things toadstool and loves to find them in the woods. She has a little bit in her head that she would rather wasn't there. So this book is to help people like Nancy get better in the future. So money made from this book will go to the brain tumour charity. Are you lurking?
Yes, in the flip-flops. I'm just going to wait till you have a pause and come through.
Get your flip-flops then. Sorry about that interruption. He needed his flip-flops because he's going to the shops. Okay. Where was I? Yeah, so it's The Toadstool Who Wanted to Stay. It's a beautifully illustrated book, and it raises money for a fantastic charity. My dad died in 2018, so it was only a couple of years ago from brain cancer. So yeah, I really wanted to support Nancy. I really wanted to support the charity. It's a beautifully illustrated book. I don't want to show you too much because obviously it is a paid for thing, but I'll just give you a little idea. It's so cute, and it's basically about the circle of life. I haven't read it to the kids yet because I can't read it without crying. So I need to read it a few times and become acclimatised to it before I can read it with the children, because obviously it makes you think of people you've lost. And in it, she included some little stickers. So I've got these little stickers to pop in things. I'm going to put one in my coronavirus diary because obviously Nancy's story was one that really resonated with me throughout this time, and a beautiful little postcard as well. So I'm going to stick that up in my craft shed that doesn't exist, but one day it will. So that's my incoming thing. Blast from the past, or as I like to call it, project from Yore. I was clearing out. We've been doing a lot of clearing out recently and trying to declutter quite a lot of things. I just seem to be doing it all the time, but I've really been pushing on with it. And Phoebe has been clearing out some stuff in her room, and she had a load of My Little Pony stuff. And for years, since Lilia, who is now 14, was maybe 3 years old, she kept a certain amount of little figures, My Little Pony figures, in a bag that I had made her, which I'd entirely forgotten about until we had a clear out. So we don't need that bag to hold My Little Pony anymore. So I took it and I washed it because it was all a bit grubby. In fact, it's still got a bit of an odd stain on the front because obviously it's been a bag for kids for, what, 11 years. And this is it. So it's a drawstring bag made at a time when I obviously didn't know how to do drawstrings because it doesn't work. You have to just pull it at one end. So I will be adjusting the drawstring so it actually works. I had past me, 11 years ago me, had done the drawstring channel on the outside of the bag. So it's just two little channels sewn directly onto the outside. What I do like about what past me managed to do was the lining has been ironed so that it protrudes over the top of the outside, and then there's been top stitched. So you get this beautiful little rim all around, which I think looks really lovely. And then I've even done a little applique heart on the front that matches the lining and the drawstring casings and so on. And then, as you can see, it's all lined there. So yeah, I'm quite impressed with that. I might try and recreate it. Now, it's not a box bottom bag, it is a round bottom bag, which when you have stuff in it, let's put my design stuff in there to give you an idea. So imagine this is a project, like that. It actually sits incredibly well without having a box bottom, just having that round bottom. So I think I'm going to experiment with this obviously made up design that I've done years ago and see if I can make some more of it like this and see how easy they might be to make, because I really like it. So I'm going to change the drawstring casing, drawstrings round so that it actually becomes a proper drawstring, and I'm going to put that into use either as a project bag or for keeping other bits in. I use project bags for all kinds of things. I've got one back here, that's all my drawing stuff and my art stuff. So I do use them for lots of other things. I could even use it in the car to keep bits in. So yeah, so that is my project from Yore, and I might be making more of this style. Watch this space. Books and stuff. Oh, I've left all my books upstairs, so I'm just going to talk about them. I finished, last time I spoke about reading 1 Million Lovely Letters by Jodie Bickley. I finished that. It was a book that I'd found in the charity shop. It was really good. I enjoyed it. It was a lovely message. It was quite inspiring. It's inspired me to leave little notes where I go, just to say thank you to people where thanks is deserved, just to bring a smile to someone's day. I left a note on a receipt in a cafe. I left a note on a bit of cardboard in Starbucks, because they really managed to make me a good chai tea latte, and it was hot as well. So I left them a note just to say thank you. The author of that was Jodie Bickley, and she's also got a TED Talk, so I'll link to that below. She's very quietly spoken. The TED Talk's quite a few years old now, but the message of her TED Talk is really lovely, so I'll leave a link to that underneath in case you're interested in watching. And I've now returned that book to the charity shop. I'm still reading Something Fresh by P.G. Wodehouse, which was a gift from my sister. I'd struggled with it at the beginning, and I'm in sort of the last sort of quarter of it now, and I'm really beginning to appreciate the humour of it. It has made me properly laugh out loud a couple of times, and it kind of makes me want to revisit some of the Jeeves and Wooster books that I read quite a few years ago now. So I am enjoying it. I get to that stage of the evening where I start to look forward to going to bed so I can read for 10-20 minutes before I go to sleep. What have we been watching? We've been watching The Tiger King. Dan wanted to watch it. There was a big hoo-ha about it over lockdown. Everyone seemed to be, oh, you've got to watch it. So I think I was expecting more of it than it is. I'm not sure how I feel about it. It doesn't always make me feel entirely like I should be watching it. But we've been ploughing through it. I kind of want to see what happens in the end. It's very interesting, but I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it, but we've been watching it. We haven't been watching MasterChef Australia this week, because we've been watching that, and we've been watching a few things. We're still watching Buffy with Lilia. We're still really enjoying that. And just the odd film and stuff with the kids. I introduced Lilia to Hitch the other day with Will Smith. So we watched on Friday night. We always watch a film with our pizza on a Friday night. We watched Spies in Disguise, which is on Disney+. And in that, Will Smith plays he does the voice for a spy who gets turned into a pigeon, and it's such a silly film. We just laughed the whole way through. It was so funny, but it put me in mind of, hearing Will Smith's voice. It put me in mind of the film Hitch. So whilst Phoebe was at her drama school on Saturday, Lilia and I, because it's a 12, sat down and we watched it, and she'd never seen it before. And this is one of the great things. She can start watching all these brilliant sort of rom-coms that are a 12 or upwards now, which she's never seen before. So she loved Hitch, and I'd forgotten how funny that film is. Lilia really enjoyed that. But other than that, it's just been Tiger King and Buffy. Okay, moving on now to finishing. I'm going to stop talking and just remind you that Vlogtober is coming. It is now halfway through September, which means we're only 2 weeks away from Vlogtober. I'm going to be doing Vlogtober this year. I'm really looking forward to doing some daily vlogs again, so stay tuned for that. And oh yes, and I've opened my shop again, my Etsy shop, where I sell my little drops of wonderful pins. Ugh, my back. which look like this. These my little drops of wonderful pins. So I've reopened my shop again. I'd closed it whilst we had the summer break, but it's open again now. And thank you to everyone that's bought a pin. I've had a flurry of sales over the past couple of weeks, so thank you for that. And thank you to everyone who has bought me a nice cup of tea on Ko-fi. I upgraded my account to a gold account, which means I can change what it is, because it usually says buy me a coffee. I can change it, so now it says buy me a nice cup of tea, which I think is more me. And I also, on Ko-fi, worked out that I could put a little sort of video for people who've supported me. So if you've supported me on Ko-fi by buying me a nice cup of tea, there is now in the feed somewhere a little 4-minute vlog that I made. And it was just about my day and doing a drawing that I was doing that day. So if you've done that and you wish to go and have a look, hop on over there, the link is underneath. And I think that is everything. I think that is all the rambling for one Monday. I'm now going to go and work out why my camera is flashing something orange at me and transfer all this waffle to my computer, make myself another cup of tea, although I think the first one has worked. My blockage seems to have dissipated. And on that note of too much more information, I'm going to go and edit this, and I will see you again in a couple of weeks' time. In fact, in a couple of weeks' time, will probably be like the day before starting Vlogtober, I reckon. So you're going to be fed up with me by then. What with Vlogality TV just gone, and this one, and then another one in 2 weeks, and then Vlogtober. It's going to be a bit too much, isn't it? Anyway, I'm going to go and edit this now. So have a lovely fortnight, and no, that sounds like you're going to go and play the computer game. Have a lovely couple of weeks. Enjoy your knitting, enjoy your crocheting and crafting, whatever you choose to do, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye.